good stretch, reaching up to begin with. So arms up into the air. We're going to reach up one hand all the way up. Imagine you're grabbing something and pulling it down and then reaching up with the other one. So big stretch all the way down your sides. Good, and you're reaching straight up. Lovely. So just really feel the stretch, reaching those fingertips as far up into the sky as you can. Good. And then just start to bend over to the side a little bit more each time. Nice and slowly. Good. And the next time you reach your right arm over the top, bring your left hand down to the floor. Right leg straight out to the side and stretch up with your right hand, reaching to the side this time. Super. Just see if you can extend a little bit further. You're trying to make the distance between your fingertips and your toes as long as possible. Good. Then tuck that knee back in, over to the other side. Right hand comes down to the floor. Left leg straight, reaching that left arm all the way up over the top across to the side. Big stretch. Good. We're going to do one more on each side. So tuck that knee back under, windmill those hands all the way up over the top, left hand to the floor. Right hand, right toe stretching away from each other. Good. Now one more on the other side. Tuck your knee back under, windmill up over the top, right hand comes down. And extend those toes and your left fingers. Good. And we're going to spin around onto our hands and knees, into our tabletop position. Just find a comfortable spot here. Good, then into our cat-cow. So we're going to tuck our chin under, hips come up into our elbows, trying to really close the gap, arching your back. Press the floor away through your hands, trying to feel the gap open up in between your shoulder blades. And then relax back through the other way, tilting your tailbone up to the ceiling, drawing your shoulder blades down towards your hips, chin comes up. Good. And then back through the other way, breathing out, tucking that chin under, hips come into your elbows, really push the floor away. Have your fingers spread nice and wide. And then back through into that cow position. Hips come up. Good. Just try and pull your shoulders back. Imagine you're trying to open space this time between your collarbones. Lovely. One more of each. And this time when you're in your cat's position, have a look under your armpit towards your toes. So you're just twisting slightly back to the middle and have a look under the other one. You're having a nice wiggle and a stretch here. So you're looking under your arm on this one. One more on each side. Good, then arching through into that cow, chin comes up, tailbone to the ceiling. And this time we're looking over the top of our shoulders towards our hips. So having a twist again. Good. Then come back to the middle. Bring your big toes together. Widen your knees a little bit and we're going to sit back onto our ankles, pressing those hands away. And your forehead comes down to the floor. So you're pushing your hips down towards the floor, down towards your heels. And the inside of your arms and your armpits down to the floor as well. So you should feel the stretch through your shoulders and your arms, the insides of your legs. Good. Pressing your hands down into the floor, lift back up into a kneeling position. And bring your hips forwards towards your wrists, down towards the floor, chin up. And we're just stretching our back. Don't worry if you can't go very far here, just go as far as it's comfortable. Chin up, and then just see if you can push the floor away, lifting your shoulders. Good. Big deep breath here. And then press away the floor again, bringing your hips all the way back, big toes together again. Sitting back onto those heels. Good. Forehead down to the floor. Resting through your back. Good, and same again, press your hands into the floor, lift your shoulders and your hips up and over the top. And bring those hips down towards your wrists. Good. Don't worry if you can't go down very far. And then just press through the floor, lifting, making the space between your shoulders and your ears a little bit more. Good. Big deep breath here. As you breathe out, just sink down into the mat. Try and relax off that stretch. Good. Press through the floor, hips come up and over. We've got one more of these to do. Back onto your heels. Lovely. And just rest here. Press those armpits down into the floor, upper arms to the floor. Good. Push down through your hands. Shoulders and hips come up over the top. Chin lifts. Hips come down towards your wrists. Good. Last one this time. If you're feeling good here, you can look over your shoulder towards your toes, adding in a little bit of a twist, but you don't need to. If it feels uncomfortable, then you don't need to do this one. Good. One more look on each side. And pressing the floor away up onto those hands and knees again. Curl your toes under at the back. And then straighten your legs, lifting your hips up into the air. If you can, press your heels down to the floor, stretching out through your calves and your hamstrings. Otherwise, you can stay just on your toes. Try not to overstretch. Good. And we're going to tuck our chin in so you're looking at your knees. And try and really squeeze that gap between your rib cage and your thighs. Good. So pushing the floor away, squeezing that gap. Pressing your hips up towards the ceiling as high as they can go. Lovely. And then just start to pedal through your feet. So you lift up one heel and push the other side down. And then swap sides. Good. So you're still looking towards your knees, your chin's tucked in. Lovely. So nice and slow. One more on each side. And then come to a stop. Lift your chin, take your right foot, big step through. Pop that foot in between your hands at the front, so you're in a low lunge. Good. Keep your knee off the floor for a second, and we're just going to rest here, pressing your hips down so you've got a nice stretch through that back leg. Big deep breath here. Good. And drop that back knee down to the floor, unhook your toe, and press up with your hands onto this front leg. Super. So just check your front leg is at a right angle and not anymore. If it's a little bit more, wiggle that front foot forwards. Good. If you're comfy here, lift those arms all the way up to the top, stretching your fingers up towards the ceiling. Stay nice and balanced. Lovely. Big deep breath. And as we breathe, just lean forwards into your front leg, really stretching through our hip flexors on our left. Super. Couple more seconds here. Take some big deep breaths. Good. And then bring those hands down to the floor, either side of your foot. Leave your left hand on the floor. Right hand comes up, twisting your shoulders. Fingertips to the ceiling. Bringing that left shoulder in towards your right knee. And look up towards the sky. Again, you're still pressing forward into that front leg. Big deep breath here. And bring your right hand down, this time to the inside of your foot. So both hands are on the same side. Good. And we're going to let our knee just hang wide of our shoulders. I'll show you from the front. So roll your foot onto the outside so it's coming wide. It's really nice just to open up your hips. Super. If that feels good and you're feeling flexible, you can drop down onto your elbows here and really extend out that stretch. Otherwise, you can stay up nice and high. Super. So roll that foot back into a neutral position. Right hand comes up over the top. So you've got one hand each side of your foot this time. Good. Curl your back toe under. And we're going to straighten this front leg. Walk your hands back. So nice and slowly, we're stretching through the hamstring now on our right leg. So you might find that's too much there. If it is, you can sit up with this stretch. If you can stretch a bit further, fold forwards. Very nice. A big deep breath here. As you breathe out, just relax down into the stretch. Try not to fight it. And then just point your toe up towards the ceiling on that front leg. So you're bringing it up. Good. Bend that front leg, hands back towards your toes. Back toe curled under and lift up again. Nice straight leg at the back. Good, then big step back into your downward dog position again. Just curl your tailbone up towards the ceiling. Squeezing that gap between your chest and your thighs. Good, and then start to pedal back through. Lifting up one heel and then the other. Lovely. And then just start to wiggle your hips so you drop your hip down towards the floor as that heel comes up. Super. One more on each side, then come to a stop and big step through with your left foot this time, in between your hands, keeping that back leg straight and just drop those hips down into your low lunge. Good, it should feel like a nice big stretch through that hip flexor on your right side. Big deep breath here and drop your knee down to the floor, unhook your toes and use your arms just to stand yourself upright on that front leg. Super. And then lunge forwards. Good. If you're happy here, bring those arms up to the top, reaching up towards the ceiling, stretching through your hip flexor. Good. A couple of big deep breaths here. As you breathe out, just see if you can lunge forward a little bit more into that front leg. And try and relax. Try not to fight the stretch. One more breath here. And bring those hands down towards the floor again. One hand either side of your foot. Leave your right hand on the floor. Left hand comes up to the ceiling. Twisting, bringing your right shoulder in towards your left knee. Lovely. Couple of big deep breaths here. Good. And bring that left hand down onto the inside of your foot, so both hands are on the same side. Roll your left foot onto its outer edge, knee comes wide. That's it, super. And again, if you want to on here, you can drop down onto your elbows. But only if the stretch feels good. If it doesn't feel very nice, it feels uncomfortable, then stay up onto your hands. Good. One more big deep breath as you breathe out, relax down into that stretch again. And press up onto your hands if you're on your elbows. Roll your foot and your knee back into centre. Left hand comes up and over the top. One hand each side of your foot. Good. And then just walk those hands back, straightening your front leg, stretching through your hamstring. Toes to ceiling. Lovely. And just big deep breaths. As you breathe out, relax down. Stop fighting the stretch. Good. And if you want to, you can prop yourself up or come all the way up to the top, depending on how stretched you feel across the back. Good. One more deep breath here. And then walk those hands back, either side of your foot. Curl your back toe under. Lift your back knee up. Good. And big step back into that downward dog again. And pedal through your feet, loosening off your hips again. And then have a wiggle. Super. Then come to a stop. Come up onto your toes, so onto the balls of your feet. Good, and bend your knees. As you bend your knees, you want to push your hips backwards. Good, so you're feeling the stretch through your shoulders, so you're bringing your shoulders down towards the floor, pushing the floor away from you, the hips up to the ceiling. Lovely, and then just roll forward on your feet, dropping those knees down to the floor, big toes together. And widen out those knees again. We're going to come back to sitting on our heels. Push your hands away, forehead to the floor. Super. One more big deep breath here as a rest. And then just walk your hands across as far to one side as you can. So you're stretching along the side of your back. Once you get as far as you can, rest down onto the floor, forehead on the floor. Trying to keep your hips and your sit bones on your heels. Good. A couple of breaths here. And then when you're ready, come back to the middle, walking those hands nice and gently, step by step, back to the middle. Rest down in the middle. Super. And then walk them back across to the other side this time, as far as you can. And then have a rest at the side, feeling the stretch. Good. Walk those hands back into the middle again. Press the floor away, bring those shoulders and hips back up to kneeling. Curl your toes under, and we're back into our downward dog position again. Good. Big step through with your right foot this time, keeping our hips high. So once you've stepped through, use that front knee to help prop you up into a high lunge this time. So your feet are facing the same direction. Good. Once you're there, lift your arms up. Nice and balanced. Good. Reach those fingers all the way up to the ceiling and then just twist around on your back foot. So your front foot stays facing the front of the mat and your back foot now is along the back edge. Good. And your hips have gone from the front to super. Bring those arms out. And lunge forward into that front leg. Good. Keep your shoulders down, shoulder blades tucked down into your back pockets. We're going to bring our right hand, forearm down onto our thigh, left hand up over the top. Big stretch. Good. Big deep breath here. You're probably feeling it in your thigh as well, on your right side and your quads. And windmill those hands back up into your upright position. And then left hand's going to come down towards the back of your left knee. Right hand up over the top. Good. So we're bending backwards this time. Windmill those hands back up. Straighten out your front leg. Arms down parallel to the floor. Good. Reach forward as if you're trying to reach something off of a shelf in front of that front foot. And then rotate windmill down, bringing your right hand down towards your right ankle. If you can't reach your ankle, that's fine. You can just prop yourself up just below your knee. And then twist your head to look up towards your left fingertips. Good. And then using your core, rotate all the way back up to the top and lunge forward into that front leg again. Super. Just make sure your shoulders are down. Lots of space between your shoulders and your ears. Good. Right hand comes down to your thigh. Left hand comes up over the top. Big stretch, leaning down into that front leg. Good. Big deep breath here, keeping that balance. And then windmilling those hands back up. Left hand comes to the back of your leg, or right hand up over the top. And if you can, lunge forward into that front leg again. Lovely. Back to the middle, straighten the front leg. Reaching forwards. And right hand comes down to your right ankle. Lifting up to the sky towards your left hand. Super. Back to the middle. Once you get to the middle, we're going to spin our front foot around so they're both facing the side now. Good, hands on your hips. You might just want to wiggle your toes in a little bit closer if you want to. Squatting down so your hips come back, knees come wide. And left shoulder across to our right knee. Back up to standing. Right shoulder to your left knee. So you're pushing your hips backwards, keeping your spine nice and long. So your back as straight as you can. Good, one more on each side, nice and slow. Lovely. Once you've got to both sides, straighten those legs out, push your hips backwards, fold forwards, let those fingertips come down to the floor. Good. And walk your hands across the mat towards your toes on your right side, bending your right leg, bringing your hips down towards your heel. Super. So use your weight on your hands if you need them. Should be a nice stretch along the inside of your leg. And then press the floor away and walk your hands all the way across to the other side. Bringing those hips down towards your heel. Good, one more on each side. Straightening that leg, walking your hands across to the right side. And bringing your weight down into that low lunge. Super. And then back to the left hand side. Good. And then just position your hands so that they're nice and wide on the mat. And we're going to spin round into a low lunge again. Good, and lift those hips up slightly. Use your hands, bring yourself up into a high lunge. Feet are both facing the same way. Hips are also facing the front. Good, once you're in that position, lifting those hands up towards the ceiling and sinking down into your lunge towards your front foot. Good. Big deep breath here. And spin around on that back foot so it's parallel with the back of your mat. Shoulders come wide, hips turn towards the side. And lunge forward into that front leg. Good, forearm down onto your thigh, right hand up over the top. Just lean forward into that front leg again. Super. Coming back over the top, right hand comes down towards the back of your right leg, left hand up over the top. Good, hold it there. Feel stretch, you should feel stretch from your hip all the way up the inside of your arm. And then windmill back over the top, straighten that front leg. Arms come down parallel to the floor. Reach forwards over that front foot and windmill down. Left hand down towards your right ankle. Right hand up towards the ceiling. Good, and hold it there. Windmill back to the top. Bend forwards into that front leg. Left hand down onto your left thigh. Right arm up over the top. Big stretch, leaning forwards into that front leg. Good. Bring those hands back. Right hand to the back of your right leg. Left hand over the top. And back to the centre. Straighten that front leg. Looking forward over your left fingers, reaching forwards and down to that ankle. Right hand to the sky, looking up towards those fingers. Good, one more of those. Coming back up to the top, lunging forwards, left arm, left thigh, right arm up over the top. See if you can really push forward into that front leg this time. Good, then reversing it, bringing your hand down to the back of your leg, left hand up over the top. And then into the middle, straighten your front leg, reaching forward with your left hand, bringing that hand down to the ankle. Good, looking up to the ceiling. Super, and just start to bend that front leg slightly, bring both hands down to the floor, either side of that left foot, twisting back round onto your back foot, and step back into your downward dog. Good, press those heels down to the floor, squeezing the gap between your ribs and your thighs, chin tucked in, looking at your knees. Good, and stretch through the shoulders. Take a couple of big deep breaths here. And just start to pedal through your feet, so lifting one heel up and then the other. Good. And then wiggle those hips. Loosening off our spine, our hips, backs of our legs. Good. Then come to a stop. We're going to drop back down onto our knees. Big toes together. Shuffle those knees out nice and wide if you need to. Hips come back onto your heels. Press your hands away, forehead down towards the floor. Good. Relax down into this pose. Super. Then if you want to, you can circle your arms all the way around. So your hands come down to your heels. Let your shoulders and your elbows flop over the top of your knees down towards the floor. And rest through. Good. 2 big deep breaths here. Lovely, and we are all finished. Well done, everybody. So you can either stay in that position or you're welcome to push through your hands, come back up to seated. And we are all finished for our yoga.